我的计划必须的，我几个年了。
我的205.5万元被银行的一个客户经理。
还我们的钱！
Overnight, the Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, ICBC, turned countless citizens' accounts into nothing but zeros. Money that had quietly rested in savings vanished into thin air. Surreal, frightening, and beyond comprehension. When users opened the bank's app, their screens showed a yuan. Balances erased, wealth management products gone, and millions of yuan simply disappeared as if deleted from existence. ICBC's entire system seemed to implode. Deposits, savings, and account data all blinked out in seconds. The bank later blamed a technical malfunction. But how could the world's largest bank stumble into a collapse so catastrophic? Balances hit zero, yet credit card debt remains perfectly intact. The irony bites deep. When glitches strike, money disappears, but debt stays loyal. One user quipped online, "If my deposits can vanish in a fault, when will my loans get the same treatment?" As a banker myself, I can't help but shudder. This isn't just a bug, it's a nightmare. The incident proves one thing: the system protecting what you owe is stronger than the one safeguarding what you own. Between October 29th and the early hours of October 30th, 2025, ICBC users nationwide watched in disbelief as their accounts turned blank. Everywhere, people logging in to check their savings, funds, and investments saw only zeros. Some even found their credit card data missing. For over 10 hours, panic spread across China. Imagine opening your banking app and realizing your life savings are gone, but your mortgage still breathes. Why did this so-called system fault erase deposits but spare debts? How can a bank of this size, a symbol of China's financial strength, allow such selective destruction? Social media exploded with posts from terrified customers. This wasn't a simple outage anymore. It was the death of trust. Banks are supposed to represent safety. But tonight, security turned to sand. People who once had homes and assets woke up penniless. Their digital wealth evaporated while their debt stayed carved in stone. This isn't a video game. Balances don't just jump from zero to billions like numbers on a simulation screen. ICBC isn't a playground for glitches. It's supposed to be the country's financial backbone. So let's ask, are your servers truly safe? Why can a trillion yuan institution not protect its customers' assets? And when everything resets to zero, who pays for our vanished lives? Can people even withdraw cash now? Can they still buy groceries, transfer funds, pay rent? You say technicians are fixing it, but what about the mother standing at a market stall whose payment won't go through? Will she walk away empty-handed? Banks can crash, but public trust cannot be rebooted. And if one day another fault wipes out loans instead of deposits, I'll be the first to applaud. But until that miracle day, the fear is real and justified. After yesterday's disaster, our accounts were wiped clean overnight. The balances vanished, and yet not a single word from the bank. No announcement, no warning, not even a text message. So I made my choice. Better a sharp pain than slow torture. I went straight to close my account. At the counter, I told them, "You cleared our money to zero yesterday." Unbelievable. They said nothing. That silence was louder than any apology, and it made me certain I was leaving for good. If it really was a cyber attack or system issue, they could have at least sent a notice. But no, total silence. That's what scares me most. It shows how fragile the system truly is. One moment your savings sit there peacefully, the next they're gone, erased without warning. Anyone would tremble at that thought. And the terrifying part, it's not just ICBC. Other major banks could collapse the same way. Have you seen the news? The Bank of China, ICBC, Agricultural Bank of China, China Construction Bank, and Bank of Communications all quietly disbanded their supervisory committees. Tell me, what does that mean for the people who trust them with their life savings? When ICBC crashed, panic exploded online. People flooded social media in fear. "Withdraw now before it's too late," one post read. Another joked bitterly, "Maybe this is just practice before the real meltdown." Someone else warned, "If deposits can be deleted, guard your passbooks and certificates." One furious user wrote, "They erased our balances and didn't even apologize. ICBC acts like we owe them." Others tried to calm the crowd. It's just a system rehearsal. Don't worry, these are just numbers. They vanish any time. Too risky, I'm withdrawing everything. Maybe today's a drill, tomorrow it's real. I've seen this kind of accident before. Once I withdrew money from Bank A and deposited it into Bank B's ATM. The first deposit went fine. The second, short by 1,000 yuan. I reported it immediately, but staff just passed the blame around. 4 days later, they called back saying, everything's fine. Are you sure you counted right? Unbelievable. Now imagine how many people lost their deposits this time. I checked my loan card in panic. Not a single cent missing. So debts remain perfectly intact, but savings vanish into thin air? And they dare call that a technical fault? Who do they think they're fooling? Because here's the truth. No matter how huge the glitch, loans never get erased. They'll always chase you for what you owe. But ask yourself, how many of us remember our exact account balances or credit card figures down to the yuan? When the bank says, we've restored your data, how can you be sure it's accurate? A few missing yuan might not seem like much, but multiply that across millions of accounts. The total becomes staggering. And if you're the careful type who tracks every transaction, what happens when your records don't match their so-called restoration? Who would believe you over the bank? That thought alone sends shivers down my spine. So here's my advice. As you get older, buy a safe and keep your cash close. Forget the tiny interest they promise. When you truly need your money, it might not be there. Look at what happened in Hunan. An elderly woman fell critically ill, and her daughter rushed to withdraw funds for medical bills. She entered the wrong PIN 3 times. The account locked. The bank refused to help because the account holder wasn't present. In desperation, the daughter carried her dying mother to the bank for face recognition and ID verification. After all that, they still refused to release the money. The stress was too much. The mother died right there in the bank. It might sound dramatic, but what happened exposes a massive disconnect between banks and the people they claim to serve. Where did things go so wrong? When a state-owned financial giant breaks down like this, it doesn't just crash systems, it shatters trust. Imagine the panic. ICBC's stock tumbling, customers lining up to close accounts. And now what? If the system revives, fine, but if it doesn't, who can prove what they once had? For the poor, maybe it's just another blow, but for those who actually save something, it's devastating. Lesson learned, never put all your faith in one institution. Spread your money across different banks and keep paper statements as proof. Because when the screen shows 0, you'll realize digital numbers mean nothing. And there's no one to defend you. This morning, I tried to withdraw 20,000 yuan. The teller frowned and asked, "What's the purpose of this withdrawal?" I said, "Why should that matter?" She shot back, "It's our policy to ask for a reasonable explanation." The manager chimed in, "If you can't explain, maybe you'd like to apply for a loan instead." A loan? For my own money? That's when I realized ordinary citizens don't stand a chance against these banks. Let me tell you what happened next. My father was in critical condition. We needed cash for his treatment. The process was endless. Back and forth between counters, endless requests for documents. I brought everything, his ID, our household registration, even hospital papers. Yet they still said, more proof needed. My father was fighting for his life, and they refused to release a single yuan. Cold, bureaucratic, inhuman. That money inside the account, it's ours. I asked them, whose money is this? The banks, the governments, why can't I access what's mine? They said they needed to trace the source. I explained, my child sent it from Shanghai. I'm just transferring it back. Still, they refused. Then they mentioned the daily limit. 4,000 yuan a day. 10,000 would take 3 days. But sick people don't have 3 days. Who takes responsibility if someone dies waiting? What kind of law punishes people for needing their own savings? The anger among ordinary citizens is boiling. A day later, things only got worse. Entire investment portfolios vanished, wealth management data erased, balances mismatched, some accounts were short by hundreds. Even in Iran, people didn't lose everything like this, one person said. A Beijing resident whispered, "We can't talk about it." Another user said the moment he posted online, he got a landline call ordering him to delete it. A Sichuan netizen wrote, "No notice, no explanation. They treat our savings like pocket change." This feels less like a glitch and more like a nationwide simulation, a rehearsal for confiscation. Imagine everything you've worked for wiped out overnight. Economists are already warning. China's economy is sinking deeper. The property bubble has burst. The banking sector is cracking. Over 200 regional banks collapsed in 2024, more than in the previous 3 years combined. A storm is building, not of wind and rain, but of collapsing trust. As China's elite-owned banks drain the last breath from the people, they're now turning on themselves, victims of the financial chaos they helped create.
I knew housing in Hegang was cheap, but I didn't expect it to be this cheap. Houses there aren't priced at 10 or 20,000 yuan per square meter. That's the total price of the entire apartment. Some new buildings cost only 15,300 yuan in total, which means about 153 yuan per square meter. Have you ever heard of such prices? I was completely shocked. Property prices in northeast China have dropped to just 153 yuan per square meter. Can you believe it? You heard that right. Today, let's take a look at a brand new apartment selling for just over 10,000 yuan. The total price? Around 12,000 yuan for a 65 square meter unit. As you walk in, there's the kitchen on one side, a spacious living room, a south-facing bedroom, and a bathroom. A one-bedroom, one living room, one bathroom apartment. The whole place costs only 10,000 yuan. It's unbelievable. Are houses really worth so little now? This is literally a cabbage price home. Unbelievably cheap. When housing prices reach this level, ordinary people might finally be able to live in peace and stability. But this isn't just happening in Hegang. Following the collapse there, similar cabbage price apartments have appeared in Jixi, Heilongjiang province, with homes selling for just 10,000 yuan per unit. Reports say that such low prices are now spreading across many parts of China. In Baoshan district, Shuangyashan city, for example, some apartments cost as little as 9,000 yuan. These are top-floor units around 60 square meters, with 2 bedrooms and a living room, complete with heating for winter and nearby facilities like restaurants, clinics, supermarkets, and bus stops. Even in Anshan, Liaoning province, videos show local bloggers visiting housing projects where apartments cost only 10,000 yuan each. Inside, the layout includes a small entry area, kitchen, and a large master bedroom, all for less than the price of a smartphone. Depending on the floor, the cost ranges from 10,000 yuan for the top floor to around 20,000 yuan for lower floors. Schools and supermarkets are nearby. Nothing is missing. Local residents explain that there are simply too many buildings and too few people. In Shuangyashan, some homes sell for less than 10,000 yuan, even as low as 9,000 yuan, when owners are desperate to sell. Renting is equally cheap. 1 year costs only 2,500 yuan. With local salaries of around 2,000 yuan a month, people say they can live comfortably, eat well, and still feel a high sense of happiness. In Daking, a 50 square meter 2-bedroom apartment can be bought for just over 10,000 yuan in total. The layout is decent, with front and back balconies and good sunlight. Homes that once cost over 1 million yuan are now selling for 1 or 2% of their former price. It's a crash no one could have imagined. One man said his friend bought a home in 2018 for 3 million yuan. Its value dropped to 2 million, then 1.5 million, and now it's below 1 million. A loss of over 2 million yuan in just 5 years. Everything he earned from his business is now gone. Real estate in China has completely collapsed. Housing bureaus are empty. No one wants to buy anymore. Prices are plummeting too fast, and people simply can't take it. Once, people stood in line to buy houses. Now, they're lining up to sell them. When Suzhou lifted its sales restrictions, over 1,000 to 2,000 new listings appeared in a single day. The era of China's housing boom is truly over. Look at this. Suzhou now has over 179,000 unsold housing units, and the number is still climbing. Refresh the page, And it jumps again. 179,957 units. All of these listings were just released today, and soon the number will break 180,000. It's unbelievable. Even with over 3,000 households sharing one available buyer, no one is purchasing. Everything on the market is now ready-built stock. You can buy a fully furnished one-bedroom apartment with a 70-year property right for 300,000 yuan, ready to move in immediately. The Chinese housing market is collapsing at a shocking pace. In Shanghai, some homes no longer even require a down payment. Properties once worth 3 to 4 million yuan now struggle to sell for 500,000, and one unit near Metro Line 9 that cost 700,000 yuan a few years ago has fallen to just 280,000. In Guangzhou, homes once priced at 2.9 million yuan now go for 1.5 million. Across the country, it's normal for property values to drop by half, returning to 2015 levels. And some even expect a fall back to 2006 prices. Owners who once refused to sell at 600,000 yuan now regret it as their homes sink to 400,000. In cities like Huzhou, ghost buildings stand silent and abandoned, with prices sliding from 12,000 yuan per square meter earlier this year to 8,000, and still no buyers. Whether a house is new or old no longer matters. No one is buying or renting. Sellers are trapped between collapsing prices and rising despair. Meanwhile, new super-cheap homes keep emerging. In Shaohengshan, Heilongjiang, a 65-square-meter apartment with floor heating sells for just 14,800 yuan, not as a deposit, but the entire price. A two-bedroom unit costs 5,000 yuan, and a three-bedroom one just over 10,000. With parks, shops, and hospitals nearby, it's hard to believe. But this is today's China. Once luxury assets, China's homes are now cheaper than used cars. Giants like Evergrande and Country Garden have fallen, leaving ordinary buyers to bear the losses. The dream that property would never lose value has collapsed after the pandemic. Even coastal treasures have lost half their worth as the economy slows, jobs vanish, and savings shrink. Across 95 cities, from Beijing's outskirts to Chengdu and the Pearl River Delta, homes now sell for the price of a second-hand car. In Zhangjiakou, a two-bedroom apartment costs just 60,000 yuan. With a shrinking and aging population, China's once glorious housing market is turning to dust. Even prosperous cities like Hangzhou are suffering. A homeowner in Weilai Technology City said she bought her apartment in 2019 for 6 million yuan. Today, it can barely sell for 4 million, and that's considered a good deal. She was stunned, saying she once viewed property as a safe investment to pass down to her children. Now she wishes she could cut her hand off instead. In the end, none of the stimulus tools used over the past 3 years have worked. The real problem is simple. Prices were too high. Once they fall, no policy can stop the collapse. Developers still dream of high prices, high volume, and high profits. But that era is over. China's real estate market once swallowed up 50 years of the nation's wealth, creating a short-lived boom lasting just over a decade and minting a handful of super-rich developers. But when the tide receded, most homeowners, burdened with mortgages, were left struggling for the rest of their lives. What was once a grain of dust in the grand scheme of history has become a mountain crushing ordinary citizens. This is Evergrande's 160 billion yuan artificial island project, now abandoned and eerily empty. Shops remain open, but there are no people. I went to Island Number 1, planning to browse some clothes at the outlet mall. But as I walked in, I realized the place felt frozen in time, like someone pressed a pause button. If those few stores weren't open, I wouldn't have dared to step inside. Now I understand why Ocean View apartments here can be rented for just a few hundred yuan a month. Because no one lives here. Look, some homes are so worthless now that even if you gave them away for free, no one would take them. Hello everyone, I'm Xiao Zhang from Shandong. a real estate agent working in Taikang, Jiangsu. These days, many people say, even if houses get cheaper, don't buy them. Why? Because prices are expected to drop another 50% within 2 years, and might keep falling until homes are practically worthless. Across China, there are at least 600 million housing units, enough for 1.4 billion people to live comfortably. Some say even for 7 billion. 6 years ago, people were lining up to buy houses. Now, they're lining up to sell them. Back then, buyers chased after homes, willing to pay extra just to secure one. Today, it's the sellers chasing after buyers, slashing prices to the bone, and buyers still say, let's wait a bit longer. 6 years ago, people bought homes to earn more. Now they sell to lose less. The wheel of fortune turns, and heaven spares no one. House prices have collapsed like a deflated balloon, dropping endlessly. Those who didn't buy homes years ago now feel lucky, while those who scraped together every penny to purchase one are left crushed by debt and regret. Once, buying property meant security. Now it means humiliation. People whisper behind your back, calling you foolish for buying at the peak. The 10,000 yuan houses across northeast China reveal the devastating aftermath of the real estate collapse. Even in the powerhouse province of Guangdong, 5 cities, Shanwei, Heshan, Jieyang, Heiyuan, and Qingyuan, have already turned into hegang, a phrase now used to describe cities where housing prices have crashed to rock bottom. As netizens say, property is usually a family's largest asset, and once it loses market value, that family's wealth effectively drops to zero. Analysts warn that in the near future, 3rd and 4th tier cities, especially those with weaker economies, will see unsold homes, even at a few thousand or a few hundred yuan, and soon, not even free houses will find takers. China's real estate dream has ended, and what remains is a haunting silence, echoing through the empty towers that once symbolized prosperity.